Hi, my name is Sandra. Welcome to Book Blubs, and it's been quite a long time since I last made any video. Also, I got these glasses that have the stupid blue light, which is honestly a sham, and it reflects my entire screen. So I'm just gonna take it off, be blind for a little bit, and speak into the camera. Okay, so it's been a very long time. I have not made a new video because I just got, I think, just job stuff and life, and I was just content on just reading books and not really creating any content for it because it's just a lot of editing. So, let's get into it. It's gonna be like a preview, not really preview, so it's a ramble about C.S. Pacat. I've been a long time fan of hers since I read Captive Prince when I honestly was a little bit too young. I wouldn't say I was under 18. I think I was maybe 19. I don't remember too well. But it is a book that requires you to be a little bit mature. And given some reviews of the book, I think those people still need to take a little bit more time to be more mature to read about it. But we're not getting to that. So what we are going to get into is about her two series. It's called Dark Rise. I always say the sequel for some reason. Dark Rise is a trilogy, YA trilogy from C.S. Pacat, and it is her first literary work since Captive Prince. I know she has a comic book. It's called Fence, a graphic novel, sorry. I don't read that. I'm not into it. I don't really care about it. So we're not gonna talk about that. I know nothing about that series. But what I do know is that, yes, this is her first literary work. She's been working on for quite a while. She did so much research about, it's set in London. She did a lot of research about London during the 1800s, especially like geographical areas, society, all of that, to create this new world. So, there are some very dramatic things of why dramatic different like aspects that were included in this series that she has never done before. One is the inclusion of a magic system. It's not like a spell casting kind of magic. It's more like using objects that have magic imbued. I can't speak. Anyway, into these objects, and you can use it to your will, whatever. And that's very different from Captive Prince that didn't have that kind of magic system. They had a class societal structure hierarchy that was very important. It was a very important to the plot kind of thing. And another thing is that in Dark Rise there is kind of like a different world. Not really, but it's like remnants of an older era, kind of these hidden pockets of time, in which there are still people living there. And these people are, and I can't remember the name, but they're called like the Janissaries, I think, or the Guardians. We're just gonna call them the Guardians. And they're the good guys fighting against the Dark Lord and his forces. Okay. So, two very different settings, very different world, right? One is set kind of like in the real world, but has a magic system kind of thing that's hidden to like normal people like you and me. And the other is just like not really a fantasy. It's just set in an old time. That's about it. And societies that are kind of reminiscent of like Greek, Roman times. So those are two differences. And the writing is very different, and that's honestly why I have such a hard time recommending Dark Rise to anyone, because I genuinely did not have a good time reading it. I think I had to pick it up like 4 times and reread it from the beginning because I totally forgot what happened. And it takes such a long time to read too because it's like a 500-page book. And unfortunately 80% of that is like useless. Okay, that's kind of exaggeration, but 80% of it, 99% of it was not something that I enjoyed. Just way too much exposition And you can tell this is her first time like writing a book that includes magic, includes all of these different things, that she can't just be like, okay, they're just people talking, but no, there's like, they're talking, but it's a lot of exposition, and they have to explain every little tiny detail to you. And I have to say, like, I'm not reading this with a bad faith intention, but C.S. Pacat, like, why are you treating the readers as if they can't read what you just wrote? I had, like, you know, proof to, like, back up my statements here, but I'm a little too lazy for that. You can pick up the book yourself. You just don't have to trust me on this one. She'll, like, describe something happening, and then the character will remark on it like it's a video game written by like 40-year-olds that want to make sure that a young audience can understand what you're saying. It's just like a lot of that, useless characters, a lot of useless plot, things are moving around all the time. It's very fast paced but super slow when you read it because of how much exposition happens. The most action-packed part of the book, without competition, without fail, is the last chapter, where we get a lot of things are revealed, and it feels like this should be in the second book. But it's just so much. You like, the whole book is a setup for the last chapter, which is like kind of like, I get it, but also like, what else is there for the reader to care about if not the romance between Will and James? That's about it. No, like, the reader doesn't care about the bad and the good fight. They don't care about Violet. They don't care about what's his face that's paired up with Violet, not necessarily in a romantic sense, but just, you know, partners in a way. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of that. And so I have a lot of things I don't like about this book, and it's just, ugh. But the one thing that saved this book from being a total dud, and from and also preventing me from dropping the whole series completely, is the Will and James romance, because she does such a good job in writing these two characters that it kind of makes up for it, but not really, because you waste a lot of time on not them to get to like the very end. So it's like Captive Prince dynamic, but a little bit juicier. Like, it's so good, but I don't know if like it's worth it for someone who's like genuinely trying to read a book for its plot and world building, because let me tell you, it is not worth it. It is not worth. It's so bland. It's really boring, actually. So there are some plot twists, but like, do you care enough to care about the plot twists is the question here. Yeah, I'll give you a little insight into like the build up for this book. This is like her, again, like I mentioned, first literary work since Captive Prince. Everyone was excited about it because everyone has read Captive Prince and everyone loves it. And they're like, oh my god, there's I forgot, like, what I think she did an article, interview, or it was like an Instagram live like Q&A, and they're like, is there gonna be gay romance? And then she's like, oh, it's gonna be like ambiguous romance between two characters, homoerotic, like whatever. I forgot what was her exact like wording. But she said all of that, and everyone was like so excited, and then they actually get the book, and they're like, wow, this is disappointing. There is like a review on Goodreads, like it's one of like, it's a pretty top rated review of the book, and like it sums it up perfectly, how like you don't care about anything except that 1% of the book. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend this series to anyone, honestly, unless the second book blows me out of the water and she improves so much more. I mean, it's been like, what, 2 or 3 years since she wrote since the first one was published, so like, maybe, but who knows at this point. But yeah,